Let's go to work. As barbers, we cut hair and fade all day. This podcast goes beyond the barber's chair and is about the rest of our story, positioning ourselves for success, avoiding costly mistakes, and continuing to grow and thrive as barbers for years to come. Join us as we look at the whole world of barbering and go beyond the barber's chair. I guess I've been cutting for maybe about a year or so when I first heard about using swivel-thumb shears. And I remember the person I was speaking to telling me that if I'm going to use swivel-thumb shears, I should go ahead and start using them early in my career so that way I wouldn't have to relearn or have to go through a whole bunch of muscle stress or create problems for the wrist trying to do it later on in the career. Now, it makes sense to get started early with swivel shears, but it also doesn't make sense that it would make any less. It doesn't seem like it'd be a bigger problem to start them later in the career either, though. That part didn't really make sense. So I spoke with Willy Hyde. Willy Hyde is the Director of Education for SharkFin Shears. And SharkFin has a distinct focus on the ergonomics and the painless operation of being a barber. And I asked him what his thoughts were. And you know what? I'll just get out of the way and let him explain what his thoughts are on the whole question on how long should a barber wait before they start using swivel shears. Originally, when I first looked at swivel thumb, I don't remember who it was. They said, if you're going to do it earlier in your career, because later in your career, you've built the muscle memory. And then if you try to go to the swivel thumb, you're going to have a real big problem adapting. What are your thoughts along that?
So, Dave, you know me. Many of the people who listen to this may not know me. But what I will say without a shadow of a doubt is anybody, absolutely anyone, regardless of whether they've been doing hair for a day or 50 years, can get used to a swivel thumb shear. They just have to be willing to go through that discomfort. And by discomfort, I mean not pain or anything like that. They have to go through that awkwardness. Maybe that's a better word than discomfort of becoming used to using a swivel shear, because it's all muscle memory, like we just talked about. So when you put on a non-swivel shear, you're used to that thumb just being there and staying there, and that's where it's been. So whether it's been a month that you've been in school, or it's been 25, 30, 40 years you've been behind the chair. So naturally, when you go to a swivel shear, which now wants to swivel, right? Everything about that is different. So what we tell people is, when you get a swivel shear, put your non-swivel shear away. Do not bounce back and forth between a swivel and a non-swivel, right? Because essentially when you do that, all that muscle memory that you've gained when using the swivel, when you go to a non-swivel, you've kind of thrown it out the window. And what happens for a lot of people, and I talk to a lot of people, trade shows, education in salons and barbershops and schools and all this stuff, is, well, I've been cutting hair all day. It's my last haircut of the day. I'm tired. I'm ready to go home. I pick up my non-swivel shear because I don't want to fuss with it anymore, right? The swivel. And we've taken all that knowledge you learned that day and all that gain that you've made with the swivel shear, and by going to a non-swivel shear, you've kind of just tossed it out the window. So I do not agree at all with anyone who comes to our booth and says, Willie, I've been doing this for 40 years. I can't use a swivel shear. Anyone can use a swivel shear, Dave. It's a matter of being willing to take the time to get used to a swivel shear.
I kind of likened it to, you've been driving your car for a good long time. You really like that, but it's time to get a new car, and the car drives different. It takes a couple of weeks to really get used to the way the car drives. But then once you're there, it's just really natural.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People, I've seen people like I was at Florida Premiere last year and talked to someone and they bought a swivel shear, and I see them the following year. And I've never met, to my knowledge, I've never met someone who I said, try a swivel shear, and they did. I've never seen them down the road 6 months, a year, or whatever. And they were like, Willie, why would you ever tell me to use a swivel shear? People who switch to a swivel shear from a non-swivel shear, the results and the effects of a swivel shear are almost immediate, and they're huge, where people are like, man, I wish I would have done this years ago.
I'll tell a story about one of the students I'm working with. She's preparing for her state board exams. And when she first started, she had gotten, a cheap pair of shears. Which my first pair of shears I bought was $25 at one of the I guess it's Brothers. It's like a $25 pair of shears. Here we go. I got my first left-handed pair. And I remember seeing her trying to learn how to cut, and she just looked like she was in pain. I mean, her wrist was contorted and everything. She was having the hardest time. And I stopped her right then and there and said, "All right, put the thing away. Let's go and get a swivel set." Her cutting, everything went really well. She got used to it really fast. It just took to it like a fish to water. So last week we're going through her mock exams. The practice. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. And she had left her swivels with a friend where she had cut their hair, so she had her other pair as the backup. And the whole time she was just talking about, "Oh my gosh, this thing feels terrible in my hands. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh."
Right.
So
Right.
you get used to the good stuff, and you go back to something that's not so good, and your body knows. That's it for today's episode of Beyond the Barber's Chair. I put links for my guests and for anything we discussed in the description. I hope you got something great and that it helps you as a barber and in life. If you like the podcast, I hope that you will tell a friend about it and subscribe so that you don't miss any upcoming shows. I'll see you next time as we go beyond the Barber's Chair.